We're going to get into product talk here, what everybody wants to hear about. And when it comes to product talk, we have Joey Fava here. So he can get to the bottom of a lot of our questions. The first one, not Jay Stone, Joey. Joey, this is from Trace and Allen. Shout out to the Brighton Park crew. Those guys are incredible. Joey, how long were you wearing a size 12? And how do you find out that you're actually a size 10?
God damn it. He hit me up. He's like, I'm going to ask this question. I was like, oh, no. One day I was at the park with my homie. And, dude, I just, like, always started wearing, like, size 12. I just started ordering them. Thought they fit, whatever. And then one day we're at the park. High as shit, just fucking chilling, laying on the grass or whatever, bullshitting. And he just like grabs my foot and he just starts to like bend my toe. And he just like looks over at me and he was like, what the fuck or whatever. Then I just start busting up laughing, dude. He was like, where the hell's your toe, dude? And then after I like downsized probably to a size 10 and was able to learn like 50-50 skateboarding and fill my skateboard actually.
Was it like like when you're a little kid, your parents are just like, got to go 2 sizes up, got to last for a while. And then you just kept it going?
I think so, dude. Or I just started ordering 12s, and then that's what I ordered for so long. And then like started downsizing a little bit more and more. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing, but...
I love it. Earlier you were talking about to sink our teeth in the product talk, getting the right size for the right consumer. Maybe you could just tee off on this, Jay Stone.
Yeah, for sure. And this is... I would say not so much on like the beginner level of things, but more like you've been snowboarding for a couple years. And like as people are progressing, it seems to me that they get like in between sizes. And like I think we're all super fortunate that we get to ride like one model in multiple sizes, kind of depending on the conditions. Or like if you're going to go hit like a really techie street spot, you might ride a short board, and then Brighton, you're going to ride a little bit bigger board. And what I keep finding is a lot of people get stuck between like, oh, do I get a 57 or do I go with the 60? And, like we talked about earlier in the show, identifying the type of board that you want to get or like the type of riding you want to do, whether that's all mountain riding or park riding. And then really like, so if you are in between sizes, look at and like take an honest look at your skill level, I think is a big one. Where, so like say you're a more intermediate rider and you're looking at a board, the smaller size is probably more ideal for you. Like where you've talked in the past, you've been riding like a 64 wide Navigator in POW. So like that's a big board for you.
Not a wide, but it's a 64.
Oh, it's a 64. Yeah. So that's a big board for you, but because of your skill and that board's not crazy stiff, you're able to size up because you want it to float well in POW. And so that's where I try to talk through with people like, okay, if you are a little bit of a harder charger, you're more advanced skill-wise, you can probably jump up to that bigger size, and it's going to benefit you and be more stable, but know that you're going to sacrifice like maneuverability and the ability to spin. So that's like one thing I get so many questions on. Like people are so like, oh, I don't know what size to get. And you like, okay, if you ride a steeper mountain, probably want a bigger board. If you're like more East Coast style, a smaller board for like tighter Vermont style trees, that's going to really benefit you. And then a width thing, that's a huge one. Like, so like what size foot are you?
9.
9. And then we're both 10s. And
was
so
12.
Yeah, or 12. Yeah, depending on the day, depending on the year. And people get super hung up on like, oh, I need a wide board or I don't need a wide board. And I think like for a traditional width around like a size 11 is the cutoff. But also, you can have a small foot and buy a wide board if like carving is your thing. Or if you want the board to ride bigger, you can downsize a hair and go with a wider board. But no, you're going to sacrifice maneuverability or edge to edge, it's going to be slower. So that's, hopefully that can...
I think width is probably more important than length.
Yeah.
Like you can get used to like a... like a 160 to like a 157. Like, yeah, you're going to notice a little bit, but like width is...
Yeah.
Sorry, Dumb and Dumber over here. Really amused by that. All right, I'm going to keep things moving here. Chad Hansen has a great question. Board boot binding tech. This is for everybody. You get to keep one modern. The rest is 2003 tech. What's your kit? So you can keep one modern out of board boot binding. The rest have to be from 03. I think I think I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go board, and then I'm gonna take some old freaking Drake bindings and I don't know some old boots, and I'm gonna ride a new board. You guys go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. 100%. Those old boards, like watching like old like footage of all you guys, dude. Like you get onto a handrail wrong and you just die. Like, or you like try, like cab 5 hook on the lip, and you're just like, there's no saving yourself.
Stiff, camber, narrow, like plank.
Dude.
Try pressing.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you know how much film, 16 millimeter film or slide film I've wasted trying to press and someone's trying to film me? Like, no, bro. Then all of a sudden you get on a softboard, you're like, yo, I got a second try. It was sick.
Because didn't you guys used to take like skill saws and cut your top sheets to make them press more?
Yeah,
I
I actually did that. I would just do a countersink drill bit and just drill like holes, not all the way through the top sheet, but just into the core or like around the front edges of my bindings. JP, I first time I ever saw him, he had nubbed board with Dremel across the bindings to make it press. Jeremy, I'm sure he's done it all too. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a full blown thing. You had to modify all of your gear to make it work. And now it's out of the plastic. You're just like 5.0 lifted, no question.
So what's your choice here on board boot binding?
New board, new boot, and then I'm riding that Mikey LeBlanc binding. The old.
You only have one option.
One new. Okay, new board. I'll ride the old Apex and the Drake. Let Mikey LeBlanc.
Joey,
I'll say new board.
All right, we're all going with board tech. Yeah. Good answer. Okay, this is a great question too from Nehuan.de. How much does board stiffness change over time? Are materials / boards affected more? Are different materials boards affected more? J-Stone, we're going to let you field this. And actually, you know what? Joey, you field this first.
I feel like out of the plastic, they definitely are a little stiffer. And then the more you ride, I feel like they do get softer and softer. And even just being on a trip with Scott, we were just talking about it. And he's like, this one's just so much softer now. And like, I definitely think it has an effect and out of the plastic compared to a couple months in of riding. Yeah.
Great. Agreed.
Oh, yeah, for ssure. And a lot of the Capita boards, they use like more Polonia. So like lighter weight types of wood makes the board super light.
Yeah, I know all about that stuff.
Yeah. Polonia specialist, actually. Yeah. He's actually in the factory.
Bit of an arborist guy.
Measuring the Pluttonia
the plutonium moisture content over there.
He's got a lab coat on. He's just doing all the tests.
Yep.
This one's good.
This one's ready for production.
This one's good.
Good to go. But so different types of wood break down faster. So that's like when we're choosing, like depending on the price point of the board, if you use certain woods in lower price point boards, they will get softer faster. But more expensive woods that hold their flex longer will put into higher end boards. And that's also a big reason we add carbon into boards too. And I think a lot of people are like so focused on like, oh, you add carbon to a board and it increases the pop, which it does. But carbon doesn't break down as much over time.
And those are stringers, right?
Yeah, so they can do stringers. You can do full sheets of carbon, depending like the Capita Megadeth. You can see like it's a full layer of carbon through the whole thing. And what's great about carbon is it doesn't break down as much over time. So your board flex is going to stay more true through the life of the board. And that's like when you are paying more money for a board with carbon, you're getting more life out of it, which is really sick.
He's dropping knowledge.
Yeah.
Seth, would you like to go?
I got a wormhole, boys. You ready?
Yeah, let's
Are
go.
you ready to dive into the wormhole?
Yes.
Okay, I brought the twig. All
Hockey stick for the listeners.
You always got to have the twig with you no matter what, but for a reason. Okay, so and we're gonna take a deep dive, Jay Stone. I don't get the opportunity much to go this deep, but we're gonna. Okay, so when I started playing hockey way back and forever ago, wood stick, right?
Yep. Sherwood, baby.
Yeah, Sherwood, wood stick, wood shaft, and then in order to hold the blade on and create the curve, you run they had like a fiberglass net, almost
fiberglass
like
sock,
yeah, almost the same way as a snowboard, and that would hold the curve and the rigidity and the stiffness. Those boards are heavy. Our boards, sorry, those sticks were like a little bit heavier than they are now traditionally, and they flexed, and you could probably get different stiffness of a flex. And as the technology of a hockey stick progressed, and I don't know it all, but I do know that started to go with like a wood core. They'd run fiberglass on the outside because, people are breaking sticks, right? And then, of course, it went down the whole aluminum road. And then now where we're at is this carbon stick, right? Yep. And they're pretty much one piece or they're two piece, just depending on there's not really there is a true one piece, but, most traditional sticks are two piece. But anyways, when I started getting into snowboarding, there was a thing that was like foam core, right? Mm-hmm. There was some snowboards that were coming out like foam core, like
Morrow was huge with that.
Yeah, Morrow. Okay, there were some brands like because I want to say my friend had an Avalanche and he snapped it and they refunded him, because it was a foam core, and then. When I started, and then there was this big marketing thing. It was like, no, wood core. And then it was like wood core wall to wall with the cap, like, so tip to tail, because they were doing like plastic or whatever material for the curve of the tip. And it was just the running length was wood. So there's been like this battle in snowboarding, I guess, that's been going on for a few decades that was just like about wood and core. And then I think Solomon did some foam core stuff right when they started. Fact check that, I don't know, but I want to say. For sure. And then when I rode for Airwalk, they made this board called the A1, and it had, I don't know if it was foam, but I think they said composite.
Yeah.
And that's what, these hockey sticks are, is composite. Yep. And and the technology in sticks is crazy because you can get like a wood stick for like $25, right? Yep. And then these things like go up. This is like a mid-range, like $200 stick, but you can get a stick for $500.
Oh, yeah.
Do you need one? I don't know. Yeah. But they have different flex points, whether it's low kick or it's mid kick, different stiffness, and they're light as hell. Like, feel that thing. That's like,
it's like air.
It's nothing.
Crazy. There's nothing to it.
Right. And I guess kind of where I'm going with this is like, I know wood is great in skateboarding, and even Creature is starting. I think it might be more brands than just Creature, but they are starting like one of the plies is like carbon, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a thinner board, it retains its pop more. Do you think, and in your eyes of like being an engineer, is this something that snowboarding could look at? Like, because I'm all about wood. But, if you're building a board for durability and something that's going to last longer, is like a composite, is that core? Could it be lighter? Could it be, something that is more durable? Will that last longer than wood? Because wood, dude, it gets soggy,
Yeah, for sure.
No matter what. And, these sticks they're pretty much the same. Like they'll get a little bit, as it breaks down and you're taking clappers, like they'll get softer over time. Yeah. But I don't know. Is that something that snowboarding has kind of like it? I know we were diving in that direction back in the early 2000s, 90s, whatever, and then it went back to wood because of a marketing thing. Do you think it will come back to being composite? Have you ever messed with anything like that?
Yeah. There's a lot there. So I would say, I think, so snowboarding started, we did wood cores, all of that. And then there was this era where sort of technology was catching up, new manufacturing processes were catching up. And a lot of like the aerospace world is foam core. And they're obviously like, snowboards are kind of crazy in the sense that they twist, flex, like they do all these things. Like it's a very dynamic piece of equipment versus like, say like a nose cone of an airplane. It just like sits there, right? Obviously there's some science that goes into that, but I don't think the foam cores were quite ready for snowboarding at that time, and that's why all the boards were just exploding, like snap it in half, everything like that. Now we're coming back to it where ideally foam is the answer in the future, and because wood, like if you chop down two trees right next to each other and you check the hardness, moisture content, all that, they're going to be completely different. So then when we cut all of our cores, we have to quality control them and batch them by moisture and stiffness and all of this. And why we haven't gone all the way to foam yet is because we can't replicate the wood. Like wood is an insane material. Like however nature has been able to figure that out, we can't replicate it in the way. And what's called the modulus is basically it's the material property stiffness. We can't replicate that with a foam in the same way with like how wood has grain running all the way through it. So we're getting there. New manufacturing processes are helping create new foams that can hopefully replace wood. Because then for the manufacturing side of things, we have to do so much quality control throughout to get your flex of your snowboard to be consistent, 5,000 boards in a row. If we had a foam, no questions asked, it would be the exact same flex every single time. So we're getting there for sure. It's just like anything, you want to test it and test it and test it. And yeah, as new industries are coming up and developing new things, there's a lot of opportunity for that. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, there's a reason we use wood, and is because it's just like, it's almost impossible to replicate. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, especially for what we're doing, like you need a board to be able to flex like crazy, handle chatter, not just damp enough, but like still have pop, and it's nuts.
Yeah, they even dropped this.
Joey's just looking at me. I'll say this guy's fucking good though. I'm not gonna lie. He's good. He knows his shit.
I should probably read that spec sheet on my board if I learned something.
Just ask me. We'll take the lift up together and you can ask.
Yeah, I'm just curious too, because CCM, they just dropped this new hockey stick. It's just ungodly expensive, but it's got like a layer of composite, then a super thin layer of aluminum, then a layer of composite, then a super thin layer of aluminum, and another layer of composite. So it's kind of it's crazy technical of like what they're putting into these things. And
the stick again?
Yeah, and then, and how, because it's all about the flex. Yeah. It's all about like, that controls your shot, that controls your puck feel, everything. And with snowboarding, it's dude, a board for me is all flex.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
Torsionally, and then tip and tail, center flex. Like you got a crappy board, you're not landing, or you're not getting that press,
or you don't have the confidence,
You can't turn right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a big question that I've had. I know I've had a couple conversations with some people, and they're like, oh, we'll never replace wood. And I'm like, I get it. Like, I'm all about wood, but at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe there's something more there that could be lighter, stronger, damper.
No, and I mean, I know there's a lot of like OG core snowboarders that are like, no, wood only. Like, don't give me anything else. And that's just because like there hasn't been something as good. But we're working on it, and once we get there, you won't ever want to go back because your board is like flex-wise will stay the same for the entire life of the board. It won't break down.
I like when they noodle out.
They get soft.
I like it when the board gets a little softer, dude. I don't mind it. That's the thing. It's like I don't mind when it gets a little.
Yeah. Well, and I think that then like so say like you start with the stiff board, right? Yeah. And you're like, it's a little stiff. I know I need 15 days on it. Yeah. Ideally, it's like day one out of the wrapper, boom, that thing's ready to rumble, and it's the same same soft flex the whole time. But also like this little like the little like 3D groove right here. So that's like where I think snowboarding is really going to start going, is adding more 3-dimensional into the top of the board. Like we do it a little bit in K2 with like the Antidote and Alchemist.
The Super DOA too.
Yeah,
does
like
it, has the
does
indent
it,
and stuff.
Nidecker does it. But that's really where I see the future of technology going, because you can change the whole flex profile by how that 3D is working into it. Yep. So like that little thumb groove also adds structure to this stick to make it stiffer. Yep. And that's the...
Well, speaking of hockey sticks, Kyle C. Skyberg wants to know who wins a hockey shootout, Chris or Seth? Seth, you can go ahead and take this one.
I think Chris does, but it's definitely from when I feed him just a pizza, just a nice saucy pizza right in front of the net. He just claps it bar down.
Just a nice slow one-timer bar down. Holy smokes. Fortunately, that's not a shootout, though, so we got to go to actual shootout scenario. I think Seth's got me covered. He's been playing like 5 times a week. He's actually surgical right now. He's got me covered.
Who's goalie?
That's a big
little fun fact. Jess Perlmutter's parents told me she's a hockey goalie. Wow. So we could put her in net, and I think Seth would still have me covered.
I'd love to see this.
We got to fly her out.
We should make this happen. Actually, that would be sick.
Yeah,
hockey goalie.
Also, isn't Bo Bishop a goalie up in Canada? I think.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah, he's a goalie. He probably has us both covered.
Goalies. That's a skill. That's an art. They're hard to come by. Good ones.
Oh yeah. We got another good product question. This is from Chris Beresford. Why are extruded bases still made? Joey, would you like to cover this one?
Yeah, I think just all those little dimples and stuff, they just make you just go super fast and stuff.
Jason?
That was amazing. Manufacturing wise, it's way cheaper to make an extruded base. And then also like not like giving a beginner extruded base, they don't have to wax it. It's going to be the same consistent speed every time they go out. And if they ride into the parking lot over a bunch of gravel and they get a bunch of core shots, the extruded bases are way easier to PTEX and fix. So.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, for street kids.
Yeah. It's actually like,
Is your board extruded or?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No.
Is it, I actually think on my show I was calling it a protruded base.
I do remember
I've got a
that.
bit of a protruded situation on the bottom of my base right now.
I think it's protruded, maybe. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
It's
so funny.
green jacket, gold jacket.
Yeah, we got it's definitely a green jacket, gold jacket. We got a few more product questions to keep these product people at bay. STSCHNZ. So I don't know how to say that. He says, do we see a downturn in volume shifted boards going back to longer regular width boards? You kind of talked about it, but you can tee up.
Maybe a little bit. I think everybody jumped on the bandwagon of the volume shift. If you aren't familiar with that term, it's a shorter and wider board. So you get the same, comes from surfing. You get the same surface area in a shorter, wider board as you do a longer board. So that's the whole thing. And people went crazy for it for a few years. Like everybody made 10 different volume shift boards. And then people are sort of coming back to like a middle ground where like a traditional width board is wider than it used to be, because I think people found that happy medium of it's like, oh, it's like still maneuverable, but it's really fun to turn. So I do see it trending back a little bit more normal, but the new normal is wider than the old normal.
Okay, this is a question I'm curious about too. This is from Sacco14. What exactly is a directional twin? Isn't that an oxymoron? LOL.
That's good.
It's a good question.
Yeah, no, it's great. That. And this gets there's not like one exact answer, so I'll go through I'll be quick, but the couple main directional twins. So a directional twin can be, so no matter what, the board can't have taper. So the nose width and the tail width has to be the same. So that's like baseline for a directional twin.
That's a defining as a twin.
That's the twin part. Like
nose and tail shape.
Nose and tail width.
Got it.
Yeah, so no taper at all.
Okay.
So within that, so you could take and this is where it gets like, depending on what company you are or whatever, you can go a few different directions. But so nose and tail width have to be the same. The nose and tail length can be the same, and you can just set the inserts back. Or you could set the inserts back and have a directional flex, or you could have a twin flex, or you could have a slightly longer nose than tail and it be set back, or you could have a slightly longer nose and tail and have it be centered. So there's a bunch of different ways to go about it.
Makes sense.
Dude, we're getting to the bottom of some heavy, hard topics.
So it's honestly pretty.
What about, so the twin, the shape's got to be, the nose and tail left to be mirrored.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes it a twin. That's what I thought made it a twin.
So it's side cut has to be twin, and tip and tail width have to be twin. So if you were full on centered on your side cut, it is a twin snowboard. But within that, you can do like a slightly directional flex, because like you think like, oh, I'm landing back seat.
Got it.
I want a little stiffer tail. And then if you have a little longer nose and tail,
elongated nose.
Yeah.
Wildly informative.
Yeah, because it's always like in my head, it's like if I'm setting my board up as a twin, I'm centered on the board.
Yeah.
I'm centered on or at least I'm centered on the side cut. Same amount of nose and tail, and it's just like that's a true twin to me.
Yeah.
And it's weird when I start if it's a true twin shape and I bump it back a bit for pow, then I feel like my turning's off because I'm off the side cut.
Yeah, for sure. Do you set yours up centered?
Yeah, centered.
And do you for streets stuff as well?
Stuff. Sometimes I bump it back binding a little bit, maybe, or front binding.
You're on the navigator, right? Or that board's directional.
Yeah, that one's right. Yeah, my street board, I think I actually
burgundy?
still set it back just a hair.
Yeah, and that may be surprising to a lot of people that like some of the best jibbers all set their boards back. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Scott's is set like a full inch.
Yeah, and I know Kuzik sets his back, Ben Bilodeau. Like there's a lot of people, and I always ask them why they like it, and say it's more of like, it gives them a little bit of a skateboard feel. Like it's like stiffens up your tail a little, and it kind of gives you that directional feel like a skateboard on the snow. I don't know. I thought that was always kind of interesting. And then there's some people who are like, I could never set a board back, and they're nasty. Like, I don't know what Jed does, but
0-0
yeah,
bindings.
Yeah, just closed shouldered.
Yeah.